Well, welcome everybody to another edition of the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. We are here every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we also have a show on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. I know you probably are, and what are you doing here there, Mr. Smith? Well, the reason why I'm here today is just 411. Rad was going to host the show completely by himself today. And the Queen
I needed
and
him to hold my hand. I needed to hold my hand.
That's right, and I had to do that too. The first 3 years I was on the show, I had to have somebody in the studio running things for me. And we were going to make our way to. Well, we were supposed to fly out of the airport. We're going to go to North Carolina, and we were going to watch one of my favorite rock bands from when I was a child, Kiss. I know. Evil, sexually gratuitous music, all those things that go along with it. But that was, that you just kind of reminisce of the music of your youth. And so they were playing. We decided we had some tickets that we didn't use last year for COVID, so we were going to just use them to go down there. And well, the bottom line is that the lead singer, Paul Stanley, the guy with the star on his eye, he got COVID. So, needless to say, the show did not go on. So we stayed home this weekend and did not go. But that's okay. Rad still has the con, and I'm going to turn it over here to him in just a second. One thing that I wanted to show you guys, because today's show is about the punishments under Islam, or under the Sharia, under Islamic law. What happens to people when they break the Islamic law? And we're always accused here of, of course, the standard Islamophobia, spreading hate speech about Islam and lying, and among a myriad of things, taking things out of context. And I honestly do not believe we do that. If we are wrong, we are quick to correct whatever we're wrong about, because we're not perfect people here. We've made mistakes before in the past. But the attacks always do come when you spread the truth. Especially, and one of my favorite sayings is that when you're catching the most flack from somebody, you're right over the target. And that's, I think, what this show is doing. It's catching a lot of flacks, and that's perfectly okay. I'm not making any excuses for it, and I'm not trying to apologize for it. But what I want to show you here is just a couple of things that happen, under the Sharia. Let me share my screen. Here's an article right here. This happened in Uganda, of all places. A guy was a sheikh. He converts from Islam to Christianity. I believe it was back in 2015.
Did we lose Eric? What happened?
Sounds like it.
Well, let's see if he comes back. If he doesn't come back, we're kind of in trouble, because he's got to come back so he can stop sharing his screen so I can share mine. Oh, he's back. There's two of you now. There's two of you.
Okay, let me delete one of them. Okay, you are.
Multiple personality.
That's me. Yes, remove and remove. There we go. All right. So, are we good now? All right. Let me get back to this now. I'm sorry. That's the second time it's happened. So if I fade out, guys, you just keep on rolling. That's the second time it's happened. I don't know what's going on with my internet today. Okay. So let me just share. This was an article from this guy was from Kenya. Or actually, he was from Uganda, but he goes to Kenya. And not only do they just kill this guy, look at what they do to this guy. Not only do they have to kill him, they have to bury him in an anthill. They stick his head in an anthill and then bury him alive for apostasy. Here you have, this is what we're going to find here in Afghanistan. He's killed, it's cut to pieces, and spread around just to teach him a lesson. teach these people a lesson. Won't have.
Well, that
any
cut
of
the gay
that.
out of him, didn't it?
It definitely put a stop to his love jihad. Okay, and then this guy right here. This guy's a comedian. And I okay, if this is kind of a squeamish video, I don't particularly like it. It's pretty graphic. But this guy is literally, because he's a comedian and his satire is, I'm not going to show this. Let me stop this. Okay, I'm not going to show it. He's literally beaten to death. Beaten to death. And then we got more of the beheadings in Afghanistan going on for people who cooperated with the infidels. And then we got this was that Sammy Patty's story. And then you have all kinds of other Christian persecutions across the globe. So the bottom line I just wanted to make with all of this is that the idea, well, let's just put it this way, to say that this is not a violently oriented belief system, and to say that these admonitions that we find in their law, in their own law, are not carried out is a lie. It is an absolute lie from the pit of hell. And we have been focusing on this like a laser beam in the last couple of weeks, and I hope that we do continue to focus on it. I think maybe we've had a little overkill on this, but to bring this up and to continue to tell the truth about what happens to people under this Sharia, and you have people saying, well, Sharia is already here in America, and they're all gleeful about it. Is that something that you just saw on your screen? Are those the type of things that you want here in the United States? I mean, that has to be, the bottom line here. If this is what the Sharia brings, if this is what Islamic law dictates, do we want that here in the West? Can there be any compatibility? Can the Sharia be subservient to the United States Constitution, or must the United States Constitution be subservient to the Sharia? And that's something that we discussed last Tuesday. And the absolute bottom line is Article 6 of the Constitution succinctly says the Constitution be the supreme law of the land. Ergo, the Sharia cannot be the supreme law of the land. And this garbage needs to be kept at our shores. Okay. Now that I got that off my chest, Mr. Rad, you have the concert. And let me bring up your screen.
All right. So this is my continuation.
Yep. Okay. You go on ahead.
All right. So this is my continuation on the Sharia law and its failures. Last week, if you recall, we discussed adultery. I didn't get to the apostasy one. That's still coming soon. But I wanted to address the Sharia law applies to non-Muslims, because that was something that was brought up on the Imam's channel. One of the Muslims says, oh, Sharia law only applies to Muslims and not non-Muslims, so it doesn't affect you. It's just on the way we pray. It's just on the way, we marry. It's just on the way, we eat, stuff like that. No, that is completely not true. Here are a couple examples. For instance, legal testimony is only accepted from a witness who, well, first of all, is free, so slaves can't testify, is able to speak, so I guess they didn't have sign language or mute people, so, that can't happen. Is mentally awake, I guess that's good. But point number C is religious, meaning upright, and Muslim. So only Muslims can testify in a Sharia court of law in the criminal cases. Let's see. There's no had punishments. The had punishment, by the way, is the mandatory punishment, like killing, like chopping off the hands, like stoning, stuff like that. But a Muslim for killing a non-Muslim can't do that. Okay, if a Muslim kills a non-Muslim, there's no had punishment. There's no punishment of retribution.
Hey, Rad, so can you do me a favor? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Expand on what that had punishment again is. You said it's obligatory. Meaning that you have, it's sort of like praying 5 times a day. It's obligatory.
Right. So what the had punishment is, these are like mandatory punishments. Okay. Kind of like a Class X felony in the United States. In other words, the judge, if you get found guilty of a Class X, the judge has to sentence you to whatever the law says, whether it's 7 years or 10 years in prison. And you're muted, Eric. I can't hear you.
Mandatory minimums, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Well, in this case, for instance, killing someone, the had punishment is being killed. Okay, and that's if the family requests it. Okay, well, if a Muslim kills a non-Muslim, the family cannot request the retribution punishment, which is a life for a life. Okay, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, etc. Well, in this case, there's no had punishment. There's no obligatory punishment for a Muslim killing a non-Muslim. Point number 3, a Jewish or Christian subject of the Islamic State for killing an apostate from Islam. So seriously, if we wanted to start our own little business, a little hit squad, we could go around killing apostates. They could hire us out because there's no punishment for that. Okay. Let's see. Because a subject of the state is under its protection, and while killing an apostate from Islam is without consequences. Okay, again, this is the Shafi school of Islamic jurisprudence. I love this one. A father or mother, or their fathers or mothers, for killing their offspring or offspring's offspring. So you can kill your own child. Talk about post-birth abortion. You know what I mean? Okay. All right. Point number 5. Nor is it retaliation permissible for descendants, his ancestor, killing someone whose death would otherwise entail the descendant to retaliate, such as when a father kills his mother. Now, this doesn't have to do with the kuffar, but I just wanted to point that out there because it's pretty disturbing. So a father can kill his the child's mother. Anyway, continuing on. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't this Allah's justice? Okay, and here's where it really gets bad. The indemnity, the blood money. Okay, so if you kill someone or they lose their life or whatever, you got to pay blood money. Okay, right? Or you have the option of paying blood money. The indemnity paid for a Jew or Christian is 1/3 of the indemnity or blood money paid for a Muslim. So a Christian or Jew's life is worth that a third of what it is. And this is a free Jew or Christian is worth a third, monetary wise, of what it is for a Muslim. Zoroastrian is 1/5. So at least for higher, that's Islamic justice. See, that's crazy. More just.
It's crazy.
Right, yeah. It's 1/5. What are you Christian Jews paying for? At least you're worth more than a Zoroastrian.
That's anyway. 1/15th, Red. 1/15.
Oh, 1/15th? Oh, shoot. We're worth some serious booty money then, huh? Oh, all right. Okay, I can see now. Yeah, right.
Okay, right. If it's 1/3, okay, if it's 1/3, well, I'm not going to go there because I knew 3 times 15 is 40, 1/45. Never mind. Yeah, okay, I'm not making sense. Never mind.
Okay, so when a child or a woman is taken captive, listen to this one. When a child or a woman is taken captive, they become slaves by the fact of capture. And the woman's previous marriage is immediately annulled. She's automatically divorced from her husband when she's taken as a slave. Yeah, that doesn't affect the non-Muslims, right? Really? Whoever it was that said that on the Imam's channel, the Bloody Mary Imam's channel, you really want to come to me and tell me that the Sharia law does not affect non-Muslims? I just gave you several cases where it does, dude. Seriously, the Sharia law is not all about how you pray. It's not all about that. This is a serious criminal, penal, legal system, okay, which is going to be instituted in Taliban land now. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, which we're going to get to it right now. So theft. Any questions? Any questions? Any comments on that little lovely parts? Anyone? Going once, going twice. Anybody in the chat? Anybody got any questions in the chat? I don't know. Can you read it, Eric? I see any questions? No. All right. Oh, we lost Eric. Oh, I'm in charge now. Scary. All right, we'll continue on. So theft in Islam. By the way, bring up that video because I'm going to have you share it in a second. Okay. Eric.
Okay. Yeah. I just got back. I just got back. Sorry.
All right. So get ready. So theft. All right, here we go. The had punishment for theft is cutting off of the hand and foot. And we'll get to that in a second. Westernized Muslims and the Taliban actually agree that the had punishment only applies to, Kenny would say professional thieves, or the Taliban Muslim, as you assume here, only serious thieves. But both are wrong on this, but they both agree, right? So let's check this out.
How would they class a professional thief?
Well, okay. So to quote one revert imam, the punishment is for someone. This is a quote. This is an email he sent me. The punishment is for someone who is stealing for greed. It does not apply to a person who's poor or someone who's stealing for food. It is a punishment for someone who steals material items or money because they refuse to work. Basically, a thief. Professional thief. Okay, guy does it for a living. Now, to quote one Taliban commander just recently, there is hand cutting. When he's asked by a journalist, okay, what is the punishment for a thief? He says there is hand cutting for serious thieves, for big thieves. But that's for when that type of crime happens. We apply what's in the crime. Okay, can you go ahead and play that video?
Yep, let me share my screen. Whoops, see, here we go. Share. Audio, screen, bada bing, bada boom.
In terms of the cases that you've dealt with today, what are the potential punishments that...
Right of now, course, we get a commercial. Skip the commercial.
See permanently concealed.
They could be served in the end.
وسداسي دغه غلو د پوره مثلا د لاس وڅول شته کنه دغه غلو د پوره او دغه ځکه چې دا وس په جرم کې دایره شي چې شي په شریعت کې تشته چې په قرآن کې دغه دلته مو په تدبیق.
The man that was sat in front of you that was accused of stealing, potentially at the end of the court case he might have his hand cut off.
غلطه د خپل اصول او طرز العمل ان شاء الله خود شتوالنا.
Human rights organizations would look at this scene and see men who don't have representatives, who don't have anybody putting forward their case, who have people who don't necessarily have the judicial or legal experience to be able to be handing out punishments, deciding the fate of an individual. And they would say that that isn't justice. What would you say to them?
What
a silly question.
So is this the justice system that you would like to see implemented?
Okay, you can stop it now.
Across Afghanistan?
All right, let me go back to sharing my screen now.
Okay, so the bottom line is that it doesn't matter whether we have any type of legal training or not. We know the Sharia. We grew up with this kind of stuff, and anything we say is okay. Off with your hand.
Can you go ahead? Can you go ahead and share my screen again?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a question. Can anyone spot any difference between what the Western revert Imam believes and what the Taliban believes? Anyone? Is there any difference?
No. There's a matter of time in between. Is there a number of witnesses involved?
No, I mean on premise, basically, the Kenny's twin brother there, the Taliban Muslim, says that it's only for big crimes, big thieves, where the Bloody Mary Imam says no, it's it's only for professional thieves, basically, not for anybody stealing a loaf for bread. So they're both kind of on the same page.
There's no distinction.
But
that's the bottom line. We know that.
Exactly. But they're both wrong, in a way. Okay, they're right and they're wrong. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Okay. The punishment for theft in the Maliki school. This is from the... I didn't put the source in there. I got to do that. But this is from the Maliki book, the... whatever I have it. I have the source anyway. Okay, it is the same situation for cutting off the hand of a thief for theft when it is taken from him, even if he has not profited from it and it has been returned to its owner. When he stole it to take away. Malik said that if some people came to the house and robbed it together, and then they left with a sack or a box or a board or a basket or something similar, which they carried together, and when they took it out of its guarded place, they carried it together, and the price of what they took reached what was obliged for cutting off the hand. There's a monetary value. Okay, notice it says, okay, took for reached what was obliged. Okay, I'm sorry. And the price of what they took reached what was obliged for cutting off the hand, namely 3 dirhams or more, each of them had his hand cut off. So basically, it's kind of like the same thing. There's felony, theft. Anything under like $1,000 in California, you walk away with just a ticket. After that, it's a felony. Then you can be arrested. Okay. Kind of same thing in Illinois now. Okay. Oh yeah, source Ibn al-Malak. Well, there we go. I did put it in there. Good for me. Punishment for theft in the Shafi school. This is in the Reliance of the Traveler, book 014.1. A person's right hand is amputated whether he is a Muslim, or a non-Muslim subject of the Islamic State, or someone who has left Islam, when he has reached puberty, is sane, is acting voluntarily, and steals at least a quarter of a dinar. That's 0.105 grams of gold, or goods worth that much at the market price, at the current market price, at the time of the theft. So the Maliki and Shafi, they disagree on the amount. Maliki has 3 dirhams, and Shafi has a quarter of a dinar. Get your hand chopped off, right? You guys know how much 1 gram of gold is worth? Anybody in today's prices?
It's a lot of money. It's
$200.
Oh, here, I'll tell you. Nope. It's coming up. Okay. From a place of meeting, the security requirements normal in that locality and time. Okay, so yeah, it has to be in a place. You have to secure it, basically, is what they're saying. Okay. Provided there's no possible confusion as to whether he took it away, theft, or for some other reason. Oh, wow, I didn't put that in there.
at the moment it's £42 sterling.
Yeah, it's $58. Yeah, it's $58.
Yeah,
you get your hand chopped off for stealing something worth $58. Now, here's the thing, people. What you don't understand when they're talking about gold, the reason why gold is a sure bet against inflation, because economically wise, gold is always marked to inflation. In other words, if you buy gold, you're going to get the same amount of loaves of bread, no matter what. For that, no matter how much the price goes up or the price goes down, you're still going to get the same amount of loaves of bread. Whether it's in Roman times, whether it's in Islamic times, whether it's in modern times. You see what I'm saying? So they could say, well, $58, dollars, that's, it was probably worth a lot more back then. No, it's the same amount, basically. You know what I mean? Anyway. Okay, so back to the Reliance of the Traveler.
This is gruesome.
Yeah.
Gruesome.
If a person, now remember, it's petty theft, basically, $58, If a person steals a second time, his left foot is amputated. If a third time, because he didn't learn his lesson, then his left hand. And if he steals again, then his right foot. If he steals a 5th time, he is disciplined. Like, yeah, he's disciplined. I think that means flogging, dude. It's like, yeah, you got both your hands and your feet chopped off, and you're still stealing somehow, right? So we're just going to flog you now, If he does not have a right hand, then his left foot is amputated. If he has a right hand but loses it after the theft, by an act of God, but before, well, you get the idea. I mean, they're just chopping things off, okay? So yeah, they cauterize it with hot oil to stop the bleeding. They're so merciful. Well, that's just a common thing. All right.
Red, punishment for a second. I want to show something.
Sure.
Let me share my screen here. Okay, so where to go? Here we go. All right, so I got this gold calculator here up just to make sure people know that we're not pulling their leg. Okay, so if you put the total weight, enter total grams, 1.058, okay, and gold purity, and if it's this
I use 24 karat. I use the pure, so I use 24.
Okay, so all right, well, 0.0. What am I doing wrong here? Why is it?
It's 1.058. 1.058.
That's what I put. So why isn't it? What am I supposed to? We're going to put price spread 0% and $61.79. Can you guys hear me?
Isn't it wonderful?
All right. Yep. So just so we know that we're not pulling y'all's leg, that's the actual amount to get your hand cut off is $61. That'd be like stealing a pair of tennis shoes. kind of tennis shoes I wear anyway. I know some of y'all wear them fancy Air Jordans for like $300. You psycho people paying that much money for a pair of tennis shoes. But for me, a pair of tennis shoes is probably about $60, $75.
I wonder if they chop your foot off if you steal some Air Jordans. If you keep the Air Jordans at least as as an ultimate insult and punishment.
Oh yeah, that would.
You
be
know what
bad.
I mean?
Not cut off your hand, cut off your toe or your foot. Yeah, so you can't wear them. Well, you would only need one Air Jordan then.
Well, that's
so that
true.
Would
that's
decrease
true.
the Never mind.
All right, let me get back to this.
All right, you gotta share your screen. Where's your screen? I don't see your screen. There it is.
You should see it now.
All right.
There we go. He steals then the equivalent of 1.058 gold grams. Current market value at 24. I came out to $58, so I must have been using a different site. But either way, you get the idea. He steals the article from a place that does not meet normal requirements for safeguarding. Similar. Oh, okay. This is the exemption. A person's hand is not amputated when he steals less than $58.48. He steals from a place that does not meet normal requirements for safeguarding similar articles. Oh, this gets really funny. Watch this. When there is possible confusion as to why he took it, as when it was taken from the Muslim, as when it was taken from the Muslim Common Fund, so basically the charity or poor box. Provided the person is a Muslim, in other words, kufr, forget it. You steal from the Muslim charity box, you get your hand chopped off. Since he might have intended to use it to build a mosque, bridges, or hospices, or when it belongs to his son or father. So the son can steal from the father, and the father can steal from the son, and not get his hands chopped off. And you can steal from the Muslim poor box and just say, "Well, hey, I was going to build a mosque with it."
So that's basically a get-out clause.
Exactly.
That's a loophole for the Muslims if they're stealing.
Exactly.
Say, I'm just wanting to build a mosque, and it's fine. So.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right, let's continue on. A place that meets normal security requirements for safeguarding. Okay, so yeah, similar articles means a place appropriate for keeping the things. This is varying with type articles in different countries, and with the justness of the ruler or lack of theirs. Oh, so basically, it's a place for safeguarding fine clothes, money, jewelry. For instance, a lockbox, the place for trading goods, a locked warehouse with guards, a place for livestock, a stable, the place for pallets and bedding, a shelf in the house, and a place for a shroud.
In other words, if you steal from a store or someplace that you would expect, someplace would be expected to be stored, and when you steal from that, then that is when, because it isn't like if I left my let's say I left my Air Jordans out in my front yard or out there at the end of my yard.
Then they can take them.
Then they can take them, right? Yeah, but this would be someplace expected where they would be expected to be stored, a secure location where people don't have any business taking things from.
Right. Well, it actually gets weirder. Watch this.
Oh boy.
There is no amputation for forcible seizure, meaning someone relying on force. Oh, that's a typo. Section N. To take people's money who has a gang nearby to abet him in this. Snatching, meaning someone who depends on running away and is unarmed or betraying a trust. So you can commit fraud and not get your hand chopped off. Or you can just come up and strong arm rob some dude on the street, knock him down, you can take his stuff, and you don't get your hand chopped off. Okay? Or something entrusted to him, such as a deposit for safekeeping. Or appropriating something by a disavowal. Okay? Denying that the victim loaned or entrusted it to him with such and such a thing. Because of the Prophet, Allah be blessed with him, saying, there is no amputation for someone who seizes by force, snatches and runs, or betrays a trust. Well, because if there was, he'd be a gimp for sure. Okay, so you guys understand what they're saying. I mean, you can go up and seriously beat the crap out of someone, take his stuff and run away, or you can, or you can have carjacking. You can have a gang, which as long as you don't use a weapon. Okay, all right. Person is repeated, but if you're a repeated offender, and it is the interest of the society to kill the caliph may kill him. So if you're a repeat offender and you get caught, they can kill you, but just not chop off your hand or your foot or whatever. But it gets weirder. Okay, highway robbery. The penalty for highway robbery is death. Well, that's where they chop. That's where they kill you, crucify you, and chop off your left and right hands.
What would they class as highway robbery? I mean, in this modern age with cars, what were they class as highway robbery?
See, this
is like kind of
well, this is where it gets really guilty. Well, because it defines it. The caliph is obliged to summon. Oh yeah, so you get a summons of whoever uses a weapon. So you have to use a weapon through force, suffice to be considered a weapon, or taking money by dint of one's fist. So that includes beating someone. It makes people afraid to use the road, no matter whether it's in the wilderness, a village, or a country, meaning he frightens those who pass along the way by means of his strength or weapons. If the highwayman responds to the summons before he has injured anyone, then he is only disciplined. So you can be a highwayman robber with your armed gang with swords and knives, or just beating people up as they travel along the ways and just rob them blind like a caravan robber. And as long as you get summoned, okay, and you respond to the summon of the caliph, you get subpoenaed, you show you're just only disciplined, which means flogged. Okay, I think. If he steals the equivalent of 1.058 grams of gold under the previous mentioned condition, both his right and left hand and left foot are amputated. So as long as you don't meet that $58 or $68 benchmark, you're good to go. You know what I mean?
Well,
makes sense.
When was this written?
Shafi was like the 800s. But remember, the price of gold is attached to inflation. So gold, even though it goes up in monetary value, it's still going to buy you the same amount of goods at that time of inflation as it was, when you bought it at a lower price. Do you see what I'm saying? I actually looked this up. That's why it's always a good investment during times of inflation, because no matter what, okay, you're still going to get the same value for it. Do you see what I'm saying? Does it make sense? I can't really. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. Anyway, and plus,
the value of gold is consistent. I mean, if the value of the dollar is going to go down, that means that you need more dollars to buy the same amount of gold, and that's what inflation is.
Right.
So you have a constant value worldwide. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I mean, the highwaymen. I mean, when was the last time? I mean, if you do do highwaymen still exist?
There's truck jacking, stuff like that. Highway robbers. Hijacking trucks. Carjacking, that sort of thing. But remember, this only applies to if you're doing it in the wilderness, okay, a village or country too. But anyway, let's continue. Seriously, this stuff is just this isn't this great justice system here. Okay. Oh, here we go. The difference between a highwayman and someone who takes by forcible seizure is that the latter does so within earshot of help, while the offense of the highwayman is far greater because he menaces the lifeline of the community, its trade routes. Okay? Yeah. Except for the funny thing is, as long as they show up for the summons and don't steal over 1.05 gram, worth of gold, there's going to be no punishment for them. All right. Now we go to jihad. You guys ready for jihad? Woohoo, jihad. Any more questions on theft? Anybody? Going once? Anything in the comment section? I haven't been paying attention. Anybody got any questions in the comment section? Nope. All right, okay. I'm sorry? All right, we'll continue on. So here's my source on jihad. Here's one of my sources. It's called the Book of Jihad. No joke. There is a Book of Jihad. It's by Imam Ibn Nuhas. Okay. The Book of Jihad was part of the. Now listen to this. Is John here? The Book of Jihad was part of the syllabus of study for Iqran members during the 1940s in Egypt by the instruction of Imam Hassan al-Banna. Is
founder of the Muslim Brotherhood guy.
Yeah. Hassan al-Banna is the founder of Muslim Brotherhood.
So this is what he taught, dude. This is what he taught.
Was the Roman? Because I was looking. It says died in 1840 Egypt, fighting the Roman army. Was the Roman army even around that time?
That's Hijra. That's Hijra date. So it's like the 11th century. 10th or 11th century.
The Roman army wouldn't be around that date. The
15th century.
No, I think no.
Because the Romans, or the
okay.
East Empire kind of died in the 4th century.
Well, okay, the Byzantines didn't call themselves Byzantine; they called themselves Romans. But no, this is he died during the Crusades. This 814 that's Hijra date, so I think it's like the 1100s, sometime around there. Okay, 10th or 1100s. Okay. The great scholar he's well liked. The great scholar Ibn Hajar al-Aqsani, author of the Fath al-Bahri commentary on Bukhari, wrote that Ibn Nuhas was inseparable from jihad in the front line of Dujat, and this is a perfect and excellent quality. Al-Shakwani writes, he was eager to do good, preferred living in obscurity, showed no arrogance or pride due to his knowledge. Whoever would see him would think he is a commoner, a handsome man. Ninth, a beautiful beard, short and medium built. Spent a lot of his life stationed in jihad until he died as a shaheed. Sheikh Abdullah Azam, who is commonly noted as being responsible for reviving jihad in the 20th century, and who was greatly influenced by Imam Hussein al-Banna and Sayyid Kitab, referred to Masharif al-Aswaf as the best book written on jihad. Okay, any questions on this dude? This is a serious dude on jihad. He is the definitive author on the jihad.
So which person we going with? Sheikh Abdul Azam? Is that
no, we're going with Imam Ibn Nuwas. This is all these sheikhs, all these people. This is what they said about him. They said all these wonderful things about this Imam Ibn Nuwas.
I just would like to add Sayyid Qutb as the last name in the page is Egyptian, and he was from Muslim Brotherhood and was the leader after the death of Hassan al-Banna. And he was punished by death because of his crimes in Egypt. He is killed I think it's 1960 something, 1959, something like that.
Oh, cool.
Because don't you think it's crazy? They're talking about killing, and the fact is that they kind of say he was eager to prefer living in obscurity, show no arrogance or pride due to his knowledge. It's almost absurd. Like, this is talking about jihad, killing or fighting.
Yep.
And he's like and they kind of revere him because of
He's a shihad, man. He's the best. Which we'll get to. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Wait, hold on, Red. Steve.
Yeah.
What are you saying here in the chat about YouTube? What is this? About this live stream? Is there a warning about it?
There was I could show it you. I could show it you. I took a picture of it here. It's
okay.
I don't know if I can share it. It's a share. You know what? I don't know if I can share it, but it's it says the site that if you open YouTube right now, you'll see it. It says that this is this site is here, let me look at it. Crossing.
I'll bring it up. I'll have to mute myself here, so I don't want to. The following content has been identified as inappropriate or offensive to some audience. Are you kidding me?
But it allows you to go in if you want to, but it gives you that warning. I wonder who. Somebody must have. I don't know.
We know who it is. I mean, that's not hard to figure out. This is exactly what they do. I mean, this is. I got 2 flags. As a matter of fact, I got banned for about 6 minutes this week for 3 days on Facebook, and the reason why I got banned was that was actually from the show promo from Tuesday of all things. So here's what he was. I'll just show this. There we go. Evidently, this is a bad show. Bad show. You guys got to be careful of this camper.
This is right now, right?
What's that now?
This is the one that's right now.
Yeah, because then it just jumps over to this. You click that, and then it'll, and then you'll see it again because that's what we're broadcasting right now. Let me shut off that. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's usually that's normal for the course. This is how desperate they are to shut this show down. This is what they'll do. And I know exactly. We all know who it is, so it's not a big deal. All right, I'm sorry, Red. I just happened to jump over to chat and I saw that and I said, what the heck? How could we begin? How could oh, I know what it was. Is where we showed the video from that comedian over in Afghanistan where they were beating him. That's probably what it was. Somebody probably reported that.
Oh yeah, that got flagged.
Yeah. Okay. Well. All right, well, that's fair enough. Okay. We'll just have to be. And like I said, I didn't want to. I only showed just a couple seconds of it because you just can't stand watching people do that to another human being. That is the barbarity that this ideology teaches people to resort to.
Well,
that's what.
I just want to say one thing about when you're talking about the stealing. There, I don't know if maybe I came in late, so I don't know. Maybe you already talked about this, but in Sahih al-Bukhari 881 and 79, Abu Hurairah said, Allah's apostle says, Allah curses the thief who steals an egg for which his hand is to be cut off. So, if you steal gold, you have to steal a lot of gold. But if you steal an egg too, I think a banana is okay. But I don't know. No promises. Oh, I got one hand. Sorry.
Wow. This is just Allah's justice. It's wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful. And here's the funny thing. The Western Imam, the Bloody Mary Imam, he agrees with all of this. Yeah. He agrees with everything. Yep. He agrees with stoning adultery. He said he would participate in stoning an adulterous woman. He agrees in killing homosexuals. He said that, yes, that's Sharia law.
Hey, what's wrong with that? That's what Ali Dawah said. What's wrong with that? I'll be happy. I'll be watching when they're killing you. What's wrong with that?
Exactly.
Do you think they've copied it from like the Assyrian culture or something like that, or do you think they've actually copied it from
No, this is straight Islam, baby. This is straight Islam.
No. But I mean, if you read the ancient law codes, I mean, that's what they used to do. It's like if you read something like the Code of Hammurabi, or the kind of things like that, they've just copied some of the ancient law codes from that. Kind of thing.
No. All this stuff was done in previous ancient cultures. The problem is what they've done is they've codified this to be not only did they codify it, but they claim it is the best. You know what I mean?
Okay, when you codify crucifixion, you're 1/6 SOB. When you codify crucifixion, you have to be sick. If you codify the amputation of somebody's hand, you're sick. And for all time. I mean, let's just be real about this. Maybe in the 7th century Arabia, in a barbaric culture such as that, these things might have worked. But we're talking the 21st century here.
But I don't think Hunter Biden did that, though. Didn't you say it was year 1 SO, son of Biden?
Son of Biden, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I made a joke about that when in an email to a certain individual that had been convicted of domestic abuse, and I told him that he couldn't buy a firearm. He says, "I can buy a firearm. I can possess a firearm." I'm like, maybe if your name is Hunter Biden, yeah, you can. But if you've been convicted of domestic assault, you can't. That's Lautenberg Amendment stuff, baby. We kicked all kind. I'm just telling you, in the mid '90s, when this I can't remember. I don't know if it was under the assault weapons ban, or if it was some other type of legislation for increased maximum minimums. But the bottom line was that if you had a domestic violence charge, regardless of whether it was felony level or a misdemeanor level, you are not allowed to possess a firearm, period. And as a soldier, if you are not allowed to possess a firearm, what can you do? So I don't know how many thousands of people were kicked out of the military because of having domestic violence charges from earlier in their career. And that's something that just doesn't go away. Anyway, all right, we're completely off topic. Rad, I'm sorry. We're completely off topic.
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead and share my screen again, please.
All right, sorry.
Okay. I would think they would make an exception for that for the military, but I didn't know that.
You would have thought, but they didn't. And there was all kinds of people that were filing, all kinds of grievances on it, because you can think about this. These are, if you the word was, especially when I was at Fort Bragg, I was an MP when I was at Fort Bragg, and when you go in and you talk to people about domestic violence, and he goes, the wife, a lot of times the wife would have no problem telling me, I know this gets him out of the house and gets him put away for at least 72 hours. I can have 72 hours free of this guy. And she could make up whatever she wanted. And then you go to court, and if you continue to lie about it, here you have somebody that's, I don't know, and he's got this in his record, and he's out. He's gone forever.
See, that happens all the time in the civilian world as well, and that's why the Imam spending 333 days in jail for domestic tells me he did something more, even if it's not on paper. Yeah, I mean, he didn't even have any friend to bail him out. You know what I mean? But let's continue with this. Go ahead and share my screen, please.
Sorry. All right. Sorry. Let's go.
All right. So again, going to jihad. So what is jihad? Okay. Realize.
Brad, what does duty farad ain mean?
Okay. I'm going to have, we'll get to that in a second, but here we go. So realize, okay, so is jihad fard kifa or fard kifa ya or fard ayah? Okay. Realize that attacking the non-believer in their territories is a collective duty. That's fard kifaya, okay? With the consensus of the scholars. However, Ibn al-Musayyab and Ibn Sharubla state that it is a duty fard on each and every individual. Okay, so I interpret this as a collective duty. In other words, everybody collectively does it. But others are saying, no, it's a duty on the individual. Even if you're not part of an army, even if you're not part of a collective whole, it is still your duty to be attacking non-believers in their territories. So, if like ISIS, they follow this Ibn al-Musab, okay, Ibn Shagruba, you know what I mean? So you can just go on a stabbing spree, okay, depending on which scholars you fight. But just continue to listen and watch.
Also, what types of scholars? Because the thing is, I mean, would it be scholars from a particular school, or would it be just consensus of 2 scholars or 3 scholars?
That's a good question. I'd have to look up who these are. I don't know if John knows anything about these guys. I'd have to look them up. But bottom line is this: it is the duty to attack the non-believers in the territories. Okay, either collective or individual.
It's wrong, whatever, on both accounts. But it's like whether it's individual or collective.
Right, so. but listen to this. I'm not even to the juicy parts yet, dude. I meant blood juicy. Okay. All right. Listen to this. Okay, Imam Shafi. Okay. Now, again, this is from the book of Jihad, but he's quoting because this is also found in the Reliance of the Traveler. I could have got this quote of the Reliance of the Traveler, but I got it from the book of Jihad instead because I just had it open. Imam Shafi states, the minimum participation in jihad is once a year. And more is always better. The more jihad, the better. It is not allowed to have a year pass on, oh God, major typos, by without any fighting, except out of necessity, like the weakness of the Muslims and the great numbers of the enemy. So as long as you have a strong nation, okay, the Muslims are not going to attack you. But now, unfortunately, we got Biden and we're screwed. Okay, like when we had Trump, we didn't have no problems, right? But now that we got Biden, we got 13 dead. Okay.
So is that why they all try and do jihad at Ramadan, or because they want to make up their time of doing jihad in the year, so they have to come?
Probably.
You know what? Also in chapter 9, verse 5, it's the verse of the sword. It says, "After the forbidden months, they lay in wait for the infidels wherever you find them." But it's a very specific time. It's after the forbidden months. And I know that in the Middle East, that Christians generally hate Ramadan because after it, they usually start attacking Christians.
This is wrong. It's wrong.
But it's because of 9:5, chapter 9, verse 5 says that.
We'll take a look at what the next line says. Okay, so you don't have to attack once a year. Okay, or if you fear extermination. So as long as they fear being exterminated by us, okay. If you attack them first, no defensive jihad. No, they've attacked us first. No, the only reason you're not going to attack them first is because you fear extermination, okay, or lack of provisions or similar excuses. Otherwise, there's no necessity. It is not allowed to delay attacking the non-believers for more than a year. So you got to do it every year. It's a religious duty. Okay. We have the scholarly here, Imam al-Harmani. Is that a big guy, John? Is that a big name?
I didn't hear you, ma'am.
Haramain.
Imam al-Haramain. Imam al-Haramain يعني means the sheikh of الحرم النبوي or مسجد حرام in Mecca, مسجد النبوي in Medina.
Yeah, it means the two. Haramain means the two holy places. So he's the
Mecca, Medina.
Two holy places in Mecca and Medina.
It's not a name. It is like a title.
Okay. Well, whoever this is, I adopt the opinion of the scholars of Usul. That might be a typo. They stated that the jihad is mandatory call and must be established according to the ability until none remains in the world but a Muslim or one who has submitted to Muslims. Thus, jihad is not limited to once a year. It should be done more frequently if possible. The more jihad, the better, people. What the scholars of fiqh stated is because usually the time spent in preparations for combat limit the ability to wage war to just once a year. Okay. Ibn Qudama, does that sound familiar? Does that guy sound legit? Or in El-Mughni, have you guys ever heard of that? I'm going to look this stuff up. Are that big names or what?
He writes in El-Mughni, that's his book. El-Qudama.
Well, is he a big legit scholar, or is it one of the ones that say that's a weak scholar? You know how they do that.
So is this? So is this because you're talking about the aspect of scholars? So is this the scholarly consensus one rather than the individual consensus one? Is this
right? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. I mean, to be, well, okay. Either way, this Imam Ibn Nuas, he's a legit big name scholar. Okay. As far as the jihad concerned, he wrote the definitive book. Okay, I'm just wondering these people he cites that he's getting his opinion for, because I didn't really have much time to research. So I'll do it later. And again, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But either way, this is who he's quoting. The minimum jihad is once a year, so it is mandatory every year. If there is a need to fight more than once a year, it becomes mandatory on the Muslims to fulfill it. Okay. Al-Qurtubi, we know that name, right? He's a big name, right?
Really big name.
Okay. Al-Qurtubi states in his tafsir, it is mandatory on the Imam to send an army of Muslims to the land of the enemy once every year, and the Imam should participate himself in such expeditions. If not, then he should send someone capable whom he trusts to call them to Islam, keep away their harm, to give victory to the religion of Allah until they enter Islam or pay the jizya. Man, lots of typos in this. So here, this is a big name. Al-Qurtubi, Imam Shafi, both say a minimum of once a year. Okay? All right? And no defensive jihad or nothing like that. Okay. Oh, how many times have we heard the Muslims say, well, no, only the Caliph can call the jihad, right? Right? Am I right? You guys have heard that, right?
Yes, right.
Okay.
And they say Sharia law can only be in a place where there's a caliphate, like California. But, it's not.
Yeah, the great Imam, what's his name? Newsom. Anyway. All right, well, that's not true. Check this out. Boom. Offensive jihad without permission of the Imam, Muslim leader, whoever represents him, is makroon, discouraged. But it is not haram, illegal. And there are exceptions to the discouragement. Maybe John or Steve, maybe you could tell us the difference between discouragement and haram.
Makruh or discouragement means it is not accepted. You can if you do that, it is not it's not permissible. It's not given like a permission to do that. but haram means that, illegal means that if you do, there is like a punishment for doing that. First one, makruh, if you do, it is not good, but there is no punishment.
Right, so they'll still take the booty like Muhammad did when they attacked the caravan without his orders, right? He just said, by Allah, I have nothing to do with this, blah, 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 but still give me the booty, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but makruh can also mean hated. It's something that is hated by you. So.
Okay, but there are exceptions to this discouragement. Listen to this. Boom. I gotta put sound effects in that. If jihad is urgent, if jihad is urgent and does not accept delay and seeking permission would delay it, then permission of the imam is not needed. Ibn Qudamah writes in Al-Mughni, the minimum jihad is once a year, so it is mandatory every year. If there is a need to fight more than once a year, it becomes mandatory on the Muslims to fulfill. So if you got that itch, that jihad itch, Muslims, you just got to scratch it. You don't need permission from the imam. You don't need permission from the caliph. You can just go and do it. But it gets better.
What if they live in an all-Muslim country? So if there's no one to fight, do they just fight amongst themselves, or
well, if there's no more Muslim countries, then that's kind of it.
What do they? Because the thing is, if they do jihad, what do they class as jihad? I mean, that's the thing is, I mean.
Dude, they fight amongst themselves. Fighting amongst themselves is still jihad. But no, this is specifically, we're talking about the unbelievers. But then again, they call the people that they're fighting unbelievers because otherwise they wouldn't be fighting them, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense? You know? But either way, this is talking about invasion of non-Muslim land. Like, say on the border territory. Okay, you live in a border town with a bunch of hopped up teenagers on jihad. They got to go scratch that itch. So you send them over the border to do a raid. You know what I mean? Get booty, get captives. Do you see what I'm saying? And, you know, you can't, no delayed gratification. So, riding the imam 1,000 miles away and waiting for the camel to bring back the letter of permission, you can't wait to do that. You know what I mean? So you got to attack. But listen, there's more. Boom. If the imam neglects jihad and he and his soldiers are attached to this world, in this case, the permission of the imam is not to be sought because the imam has suspended jihad. The mujahideen should therefore resume it. So if the imam is not going for the jihad, you don't have to listen. You don't have to listen to that. You can disobey the imam and still go out in the jihad. You see what I'm saying? There's no sense. Well, Eric, are you still here? Is Eric still here?
Eric's still here.
Okay, tell us as a sergeant in the U.S. Army. I'm thinking for a comparison. Wouldn't this be like considered mutiny? Or if you got a brigade of U.S. soldiers and they're just sitting around like Fort Bragg and they decide, hey, Biden's not going to order us to go fight in the Taliban. We're just going to go do it ourselves. Would that be acceptable? Would that be okay?
No, of course not. No, you can't. No, you have a chain of command. The chain of command begins with the president, and it is stick down to the SecDef, then the Secretary of the Army, down to the Joint Chief, and then down to the just a successive chain of command. So there's no way you would get a brigade element to go out and just go rogue. It's not going to happen. Now you might get, let's say you're in theater, and you have I would think probably the largest size element that you could get convinced to go rogue like that might be a squad, but that would be pushing. The squad is only like 6 guys. A team, maybe. That's just a fire team, 3 folks deciding to get a little payback for somebody else. I might be able to see that. But somebody from the United States completely deploying clear across, the planet to do something, it's just not going to happen. Ever.
Well, either way, that would be illegal, and if they got caught, and they would be punished, right?
Oh, sure, yeah, they would put in Leavenworth the rest of their lives, no doubt, and plus it would be a hate crime because it would be Islamophobia.
Right. Well, yeah, can't have that. Yeah. Okay. Wait, there's more. Bam. We gotta put sound effects in. Listen to this. If the person cannot seek permission because he knows in advance that the imam would not give him permission. So hey, I'm a jihadi. I got my jihadis with me. If I write the imam or ask the imam for permission, and I know the imam's a Joe Biden, he's a wussy, he ain't gonna give me permission, so I don't have to ask him. I'm just gonna go out in the jihad anyway. No imam needed, baby. Do you see what I'm saying? You guys get that?
Yeah.
Any questions? All right, let's continue on here.
That okay. I was just going to say that's akin to it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. To me that's what it's. Go back. Last one, right? If the person cannot seek permission because he knows in advance the imam would not give it to him. Okay, so it's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. Or it's easier. Let me put it that way. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission because if you're going to be told no, then and you know you're going to be told no, and you go out and do it, and you say, "Look, I'm sorry." So you're hoping that being sorry carries more weight than disobeying a direct order. Wow.
Sorry, guys.
Who was that? Steve, was that you?
That was my cousin.
Golly, dude. He pulled out our eardrums.
Sorry.
All right, Red.
All right, listen to this. Ibn Qudamah states that the absence of the imam should not be a reason for the delay in the jihad.
What's happened?
Rad, are you talking? Or do you keep fading out? Can you hear me? Rad is muted. Can
you hear me now?
We can. Yes, we could. Did you just? Okay, yeah, because I see you're muting yourself and then unmuting yourself. Now we can't hear you. Rad, go ahead and back out and come back in because I've been having problems. I think maybe there's something wrong with StreamYard today because I've had to back in and back out several times myself, at least 4 or 5. So Rad, back out, leave the studio, come back, and then we'll put you right back up. Can you hear me, Rad? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's not. I don't want to boot him from the studio because then he'd think I'm being mad at him. Yeah, a lot of the. Here. Let me show this. I just got this email. Share screen. Let me show it. I just got this email from YouTube, and it says, "Hi, Crossing the Crescent. We wanted to let you know that our team reviewed your content, and we don't think it is in line with our violent or graphic policy." Bunch of wusses. And we know exactly who's doing it. I went in and I checked who was, how many likes or dislikes that we have. And there's always one dislike there because we know there's always at least one. Okay, Rad, you're not connected. It says that your mic cannot be seen. There we go. All right, there you are. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. I'm thinking, Brad, it's a problem with StreamYard today because I've lost connectivity at least 4 or 5 times and had to back out and come back in. So go ahead and share your screen. We'll get back on where you were.
All right. There we go.
Oh, here we are. Hold on. I wanted to show you this. Nim, this is, okay. She put something up here that was, I about fell out of my chair laughing at this. Where is it? Okay. Here. Okay. Did you guys see this one? So if you name your son Jihad and you're looking at the airport, Jihad, will you please come to
Has anybody seen Jihad?
Yeah.
I have a cousin named Jihad, by the way. So.
Oh, well, don't let him get lost at the airport for Pete's sake. That would be a bad day.
But the thing is, you wouldn't even get through like the standard security kind of thing. Could you imagine, okay?
Could you imagine the TSA? Where are you going, Jihad? Or where are you taking Jihad?
What's your name on the passport? My name is Jihad.
Yeah, I mean, are you serious, Steve? That's what they name people that? Jihad.
Oh, it's a great name. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a very common name in Egypt.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That tells you how naive I am. I wouldn't think that you would want to name somebody, especially considering today's connotations for the name. But I guess if you're a bunch of, Hamas holes sitting in Palestine, I guess that wouldn't be.
Hey, y'all.
That wouldn't prevent you from doing that. All right, Rad, here you go. I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right, here we go. So this is the source on Jihad, the source, the reliance of the traveler. Jihad means to war against non-Muslims. Full stop. And it's etymologically derived from the word mujahid. Who's a mujahid? Who goes by that name?
I wonder.
Etymology is the history of words. That's what that means.
The origin of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a history of word. Like.
Well, we have an imam that uses that. That's his. Is that mujahid? Mujahid is a soldier. Am I correct on this, John? Steve? A mujahid.
He's the one who fights jihad. Is the mujahid.
Okay, so you're the soldier for this holy war. Am I correct on that?
But does it derive from the Arabic word for fighting? Is that
yes?
That's
jihad.
where it comes from.
But if you ask Linda Sarsour, it just means that you have conviction, that you want to be good to your family, and that you want to love and watch CNN and drink chamomile tea. That's what it means.
I had this full, guys. I'm gonna have to go to a refill on my lemonade.
You're a mujahid. See,
Mujahid Kenny Boomer.
Yeah, that's what he calls himself. I mean, that's and that's a bit concerning. Okay, Brad, I'm sorry. We keep getting off topic here. Okay, go ahead.
So it goes from the word mujahid, signifying warfare, to establish the religion. And it is the lesser jihad. As for the greater jihad, it is spiritual warfare. It is spiritual warfare against the lower self, the nafs, which is why the Prophet said, Allah bless him and give him peace, said he was returning from the jihad. Okay. Quranic verses. What?
Hey, bro, I just want to say that there's a big contradiction, because there's another place, and I could bring it for you, where it says that the greater jihad is to go out and chop heads off. So this the CNN greater jihad. I mean, even though that's from the reliance of the traveler, I understand that, but I just want to say there's a lot of confusion about which one's better, which one's less. So.
What's the Arabic root word like? Because you normally have like in Arabic,
means exert yourself, okay.
Well, yeah. Well, Muhammad has said numerous times that there is nothing greater than jihad. Even it's greater than praying in the mosque all the days of your life. It's better than doing everything. It is or no, I'm sorry, not jihad. Dying a shaheed or something like that. Okay. But anyway, here's some Quranic verses.
Let me emphasize something that you just kind of glossed over, Brad, and I'm sorry for doing this, but when you were going over what Division 09.0 says, it says mean war against non-Muslims is etymologically derived from the word mushahada, signifying, and this is the part, warfare to what? To establish the religion. That's the purpose of it, is to establish the religion, and it's in their own book. So when people say, well, jihad, when people do these violent things, that's not Islam. Well, then you need to have a conference with these people over at Al-Azhar University then. I mean, and let them know how wrong they are about all these centuries of examples of this occurring, and why all these shaheeds are now burning in hell, because they didn't obviously understand what the purpose of the jihad was. Okay, that's my 2 cents. I'll shut up. Hold on. Let me mute myself.
All right. Well, yeah, well, exactly. Well, here's some Quranic verse. Go ahead and share the screen again, please. Fighting is prescribed for you. 2:16. Now it goes. This is from Shafi. He's quoting the Quranic verses to back him up. But that verse actually says fighting is prescribed for you, even though it's something that you hate. But it may be that you love a thing that is that is good for you. I'm sorry, love a thing that is bad for you, that being peace, and hate a thing that is bad for you, that be fighting that is prescribed for you. So this is something that they're told to do this. Then we have the slay them wherever you find them. Fighting the idolaters utterly, 936. Okay. Hadith, it's in Hadith, Bukhari, and Muslim. Bakuri, I have been commanded to fight the people until they testify that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and perform the prayer and pay the zakat. If they say it, They have been saved, their blood and possessions from me, except for the right of Islam over them, and their final reckoning with Allah. Muslim to go forth in the morning or in the evening to fight in the path of Allah is better than the whole world and everything in it. I did have that in there. Interesting. Jihad is a communal obligation. When enough people perform it to successfully accomplish it, it is no longer obligatory upon others. The evidence for which is the Prophet saying, Allah bless him and give him peace. He who provides the equipment for a soldier in jihad has himself performed jihad.
So that's where most Muslims in the West probably get away with it, because they're providing. That's where they're probably providing for others elsewhere, so they can say, okay, they've done jihad because they provided others.
Oh, exactly. Like, having a charity, things like that. I mean, that was a big thing after September 11th. But yeah, that's what that's how they get away with it. Let's see. Allah said, those are the believers who are unhurt but sit behind are not equal to those who fight in Allah's path with their property and lives. You hear that, Mujahid, Mr. Soldier of Allah? If you ain't out there fighting in Allah's path with your property and your lives, unhurt and sit behind, you are not equal to those who fight in Allah's way with their property and lives. Allah has preferred those who fight with their property and lives a whole degree above those who sit behind, and to each Allah has promised great good. So you hear that? Just thought I'd let you know.
So does that mean they throw a chair or something up, or kind of?
Yeah, well, no.
It says fight with their property. What does that? What does that?
Well, that means your horses, your swords. That's all your property. You go out
donate. Yeah, that's to fund their causes. I mean, if you have, let's say you're some rich oil sheikh, you're required to fund a lot of these causes that do advance Islam. This is why you see the building of all these mosques in the West. They're not funded by local funds, that's for sure. All that money's coming out of those petrodollars from Saudi.
And there is a surah in the Quran that's called the surah of, in Arabic, Surah al-Kursi, which is the surah of the chair.
The surah of the chair.
What did you say? The surah of the chair? What?
It's called Surah al-Kursi, the surah of the chair. But it's the surah of the chair is supposed to be Allah's chair that he's sitting on. But anyway, it was a kind of a joke. But
that was funny. Well, the Quran is a joke, so yeah, that's funny. All right, so let's continue on. Those called upon to perform jihad when it is a communal obligation are every able-bodied man who has reached puberty and is sane. That's the same as a relative term. So those may not fight in jihad. Someone in debt, unless his creditor gives him leave. I mean, you don't want to go out in jihad and get all chopped up and killed unless you paid your debt. Someone at least one Muslim parent until they give their permission, unless the Muslims are surrounded by the enemy, in which case it is permissible for them to fight without permission. Oh, this isn't Reliance to the Travel. This is still the Book of Jihad. I didn't change the title. That's what happened. Okay, sorry, I got to correct that. But this is still the Book of Jihad. It is offensive to conduct a military expedition against hostile. Oh no, this is Reliance to Traveler. It is offensive to conduct a military expedition against hostile non-Muslims without the Caliph's permission. Though this is Shafi. Though if there is no Caliph, no permission is required.
Why? Because that's a contradiction, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing.
I mean, why on earth do you need to say that? That's completely contradictory. They can fight whatever, which is completely wrong. But why on earth do they need the Caliph's permission when they don't need the Caliph's permission?
That's kind of the whole
contradiction.
Point. That's kind of the point. No permission is required if there's no Caliph. Well, no, if there's no Caliph, no. If they have a Caliph, then permission is required from the Caliph. Unless they think the Caliph is going to say no, then they can go ahead and do it. Or unless they think that, time-wise, that they can't perform the jihad successfully. Or in this case, if there's no Caliph, like there is now, no Caliph. So when the Muslims say, well, no, jihad can only be declared by the Caliph. Not if there's no Caliph. No permission is required. How is he going to establish the Caliph? Unless you're doing jihad. See what I'm saying? Or I should say, see what Muslims are saying. Okay, here we go. The Caliph makes war upon Jews, Christians, and Jerusalem if no Caliph permission is not needed. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Must first invite to Islam. If they refuse, then they can pay the jizya. And the war continues until they become Muslim, or else pay the Muslim poll tax. Allah said, fight those who do not believe in Allah on the last day, who forbid it. Not what Allah says, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is all from the Quran. This is from the book of Reliance of the Travel, and he's quoting from the Quran as his source. The option for jizya is only accepted until the final descent of Jesus. After his final coming, nothing but Islam will be accepted from them, for taking the poll tax is only effective until Jesus' descent. Think about that for a second. The war continues until Jesus returns. The war with Muslims continues.
Isn't this the Muslim Jesus? This is not the Christian. This is not our Jesus. This is the Muslim.
This is Isa.
Yes,
Exactly.
this is Isa.
And by that time, all the Christians, Jews will be wiped out.
But you know that I got a sheikh that talks about this, and you know what he said? I mean, I don't know if this has any positive connotation to it. When you hear it, you think, oh, how nice, Jesus is going to stop. No, once the jizya stops, that means you don't have that option anymore. They just kill you. If you don't become Muslim, they just kill you. You don't have the option of paying the jizya anymore.
Exactly. That's why they say when Jesus returns, or when Isa returns, or Isa shows up, he's going to break the cross and kill the pig. In other words, yeah, time's up. No more jizya. You die unless you convert to Islam. Okay, here we go. The Caliph fights all other people until they become Muslim, because they're not people with the book, nor honored as such. So only Jews and Christians get this. Everybody else, you dead, and are not permitted to settle with paying the poll tax. Though according to the Hanafi school, people of all other religions, even idol worships, are permitted to live under the protection of the Islamic State if they either become Muslim or agree to pay the poll tax. So that's the Hanafi school. He's the exclusion. The sole exception is to which are apostates from Islam and idol worshippers who are Arabs, racist. They're racist. Hanafi is racist. Okay, neither of whom has any choice but become a Muslim. Sorry, John and Steve, you guys are Arabs.
No, I'm already
John's
not. Bigot.
Okay. Oh, here we go. When a child and woman, we already discussed. When a child and woman is taken captive, they become slaves by the fact of capture, and the woman's previous marriage is immediately annulled. Oh, here we go. When an adult male is taken captive, the Caliph considers the interest of Islam and the Muslims and decides between the prisoner's death, slavery, release without paying anything, or ransom himself in exchange for money or for a Muslim captive held by the enemy. If the prisoner becomes a Muslim before the Caliph chooses any of the four alternatives, then he may not be killed. And one of the other three alternatives chosen, so he can still become a slave. Okay? Anyway, what do you think about that, Eric? Being a soldier and all, does that go against the Geneva Convention?
Absolutely.
So what is the Geneva Convention for taking prisoners of war?
That you have to protect them not only physically, but you also have to provide for them for their sustenance. You have to provide food for them, water. You have to provide security for them, meaning that you can't be driving them around or walking them around out in the middle of impact area. There's a lot of things that you have to do for POW, and that's one of the key things that military policemen do is POW processing. So if you would put one of those POWs into any type of danger, then you yourself could be charged.
So you can't force them to walk across a minefield?
Well, you could, but you would go to jail if you did that.
Oh.
So it isn't, it's a question whether you can't do it. You can do anything you want, but of course there's consequences for that. And
can you make him a slave? Can you make him a slave?
Not in this lifetime, no.
Okay. You put him to death?
I can't. It would, you have to go through a trial by a courts martial. But
Right,
even then, if you think about this, how many prisoners of war have we executed by having a trial?
Well, yeah, that would be a war crime situation. But I mean, just
Exactly.
just for no reason, just execute them because they are a prisoner.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and we've sent people to jail for these types of crimes in the past 20 years.
Can you ransom them for money?
No.
But you can exchange them though, right? For other prisoners, yeah, they can do prisoner exchanges, right?
No. Well,
no?
Unless you're the president of the United States and your name's
right.
Obama, then you can exchange, your top 5 Taliban leaders for a deserter, a traitorous, deserting piece of crap like that Bo Bird douche. I'm sorry. That Bo Bird. I might get another email from YouTube.
Whatever happened to him? Whatever happened?
I'm not sure. Last I saw that he was in fact being charged. Let me. You go ahead and keep on doing what you're going to do. I'm going to take a look at that, because last I heard they were going to charge him. They may have just given him an administrative discharge. Let me take a look.
Okay. Well, listen. Okay. Well, you got to put. Yeah, there we go. So, how many times have I heard Muslims? You can't even destroy a tree, right? You can't even, when you're doing the jihad, you can't even destroy a tree or whatever. Well, here it is. It is permissible in jihad to cut down the enemy's trees and destroy their dwellings. So that's another lie that Westernized Muslims say. And that actually is the end of my presentation. Any thoughts? Any questions? Did I just bore you guys to death, or are you guys just like, wow?
No, we're enjoying it. We're enjoying it.
That was just good, man. What's that, Steve?
It was very good, man.
It was good, yeah.
All sources document. I still got more. Like I said, I got to add in apostasy and rape. By the way, this is no joke. There is no rape in Islamic law. Seriously, there is no such thing as rape. It is totally funny.
It's just that you got to get 4 witnesses to actually be watching you when you're doing it. They have to watch the insertion and everything too, and you have to have 4 witnesses who were watching it happen.
Male witnesses, but no, it's more bizarre than that. So so let's say a non-married girl becomes pregnant, and she says, "Well, this happens in Pakistan actually," and she says, "The man raped me." And they say, "Well, do you have 4 male witnesses that saw the insertion to prove it?" And she says, "No." Well, because pregnancy, is a clear indication of adultery. If you're not married, guess what? After she has a baby, she can be stoned to death because she cannot prove that she was raped. Isn't that wonderful? Because one of the criteria of evidence for adultery is an unexpected pregnancy. Of an unmarried woman. So she cannot prove that she was raped by the Islamic law, the 4 male witnesses. Then therefore, obviously, it's not a miracle child. Obviously, she had illegal sex, zina. So therefore she can be killed. And that is actually the law in Pakistan.
They came up with that 4 witnesses thing because Muhammad, when Aisha spent the night in the desert with Safwan, I'm sorry, because she lost her necklace and she went back to get it, and he happened to be there, and they just happened to be together all night in the desert, Kind of sounds like an Eagle song. I want to love you in the desert tonight. But anyway.
I'm sure that's what he was singing too.
But Muhammad wanted to rescue his wife, because everybody knew that something happened. And so he came up with this rule, says, you got to have 4 witnesses watching the insertion. And he says, and if you disagree, and one guy did, he got 80 lashes. Boom, 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 on your back. Yeah.
Oh, here's another thing I just thought about on adultery. So if you accuse someone of adultery and you can't prove it by the Islamic standard, then you get hard punishment. You get punished. So isn't there someone that we know that keeps accusing his ex-wife of committing adultery, but can he prove it? Did he have the 4 male witnesses to watch? Just saying, just wondering. If not, then he's falsely accusing his wife of adultery. He should get the punishment. Right?
Yeah.
Make sense?
And you know what, too, if you guys, I don't want to talk too much. If someone else has something to say, go ahead and say it. But if you got 1 second, I got a real funny story to tell you. Okay.
No, go ahead, Steve.
There's I did a live stream with Hatun Tash about this last week, and it's that, when Muhammad's father died, allegedly, when she was pregnant with him, when the mother was pregnant with Muhammad. But the problem is, Muhammad wasn't born for 4 more years. And so this is a miracle, you guys. Stop laughing, you haters, you Islamophobes. This is the miracle, that she was pregnant for 4 years. And so they have sheikhs, and I got the video, it's hilarious. And then the sheikhs and this is the Grand Mufti of Egypt. It's not some little guy from like Kenny Boomer or some American wannabe. No, it is the Grand Mufti of Egypt who's saying this. He's saying that Amina was pregnant for 4 years with Muhammad, and then he says, and then this guy, the guy who's interviewing him, asks him and says, "So if I go on a trip for 4 years, and I don't see my wife for 4 years, and I come back and she's pregnant, and she tells me this is your kid, should I believe her?" And he says, "Yes, of course you should believe her." And then he says, open open your heart. Don't be so narrow-minded, you bigoted hater, you woman hater. And then he says, in fact, if you accuse her wrongly, you're going to get 80 lashes. You could get beat up with 80 lashes. So you guys, this is anyway, there's many different angles to this.
Muslim science. Because Muslim science.
But you know what? There's hadith where it says, and I'm talking Al-Qurtubi. You mentioned Al-Qurtubi.
Mm-hmm, yep.
It's possible. It's possible, you guys. Shut up, you idiot Islamophobic haters. It's possible for a baby to be in its mother's stomach for 5 years, maybe 10 years, you haters.
Actually, no. That's the Ottoman Empire. They practiced that little escape clause for pregnancies of a non-married woman. They said, well, okay, her husband was off fighting the jihad or whatever, so yeah, that's possible. And that was an excuse to get out of being stoned to death. Anyway, guys, I got to step away for a second, so you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I got a couple things. Anyone knows the answer? Okay, hold on. This is Call Me Mom. How does one become a muta? Okay, come on. How do you become a muta woman?
There is a website. There actually is a website called Muta Marriage or something like that. I'm not making it up. There is a website.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I would hate to even, because if you just type that in and you clicked on it, could you imagine all of the, I don't know, the cookies and things that would be attached to that? Oh my gosh. I would never go there. Okay, I raised a question earlier about what happened to Bo Bergdahl. Okay, Bergdahl, as you know, was the guy that was in Afghanistan, and he was a PFC, which is a private first class, E3, and he was out on a post one night, and he just decided to leave. He decided, I want to go with my Islamic brothers, so he walked off his post, and when the protocols, when something like that, when somebody goes missing, are off the charts. And this is why when we look at the number of unrecoverable personnel in the region, they're almost zero. And the reason why is the protocols that we had behind this. If somebody goes, you move heaven and earth and you find that person. You get a hold of them and you get them back. If they're dead, okay, but you get the body back. Well, this guy walks off his post purposely in the middle of the night and causes his entire unit, the entire post, went down lockdown and went out looking for him. There were people that were shot while looking for him. The number of lives that he put in danger when these people went searching for him are, uncalculable. I don't know how many people were out there looking for him. And this went on for, almost 3 weeks. They were looking for this guy. Now, he claims that he was captured by the Taliban, which is it's just a lie. It's just an outright lie, what he claims. He was not captured by anybody. He walked off his post and he joined the enemy. And then after 5 years, oh, he was in captivity for 5 years. No, he wasn't. He's out there playing soccer with all their chums. We get him back, and what do? We exchange him for 5 Taliban commanders, 5 leading Taliban commanders, one of which is the head Taliban commander. Does anybody know this guy that's in the back? Scotty Vaughn. Scotty, I'm going to ask you to turn your camera on if you're going to come on. I'm sorry. I don't want to bring somebody on here and then we get. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it because I just don't know you unless you want to send me a private message or something to let me know who you are. But the bottom line is that this guy was charged. He was charged with desertion and then causing all these things. And they were going to put him in. They were going to sentence him to life in prison, is what they were going to do. But of course, just like everything else, these serious charges get pleaded down, and the only thing he received was a dishonorable discharge. Let me see here. Let's see. Berdahl was required to pay a $1,000 fine from his salary for the next 10 months. Now, here's what's really weird about all this. This is just so strange, and a lot of you are going to go, that's just crazy. How does the Army do something like this? This guy was a private first class. Are you following me? That's an E3. When he was tried, he was a sergeant. He was an E5. So while he was in captivity, he got promoted twice. He got promoted from private first class to specialist, which is an E4, to sergeant, which is an E5. So not only did he have to get this dishonorable discharge, they had to give him a complete. You always take somebody's rank completely away when you're getting a dishonorable discharge. So that was just what the military's courts martial do when they do things like that. But then he had to pay $1,000 fine from his salary. Now keep in mind his salary, because he still received a salary during this whole time.
Didn't somebody die trying to rescue him?
I don't think somebody died. It seemed like there was quite a few people that were injured trying to do that. Let me pull the article back up here. I don't see defense, prosecution. Wait, okay, hold on. Let's see. Soldiers who searched for Berdahl were deserted, were called to testify, and shared stories of grueling conditions they endured while looking to him.
And by the way, you guys, El Fati was on Fox News today to talk about our open border, if you want to see it.
El Fati?
Was Berdahl's platoon leader in Afghanistan building.
I put it in private chat if you want to watch it, the link.
Yeah, I had that. I have it written down. I was going to talk about that, Steve. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that live interview. He was on there for a good 5-10 minutes too. He was on there for quite a while. So that was cool, because the Queen was in the other room. I'm like, hey, come in here. Al Fati's on. She goes, who's that? I'm like, okay. Then I was like, all right, she doesn't know. So I had to explain it to her. I was all excited about it. Okay. I don't see anybody getting killed here. They had they had one of the a dog handler. The dog was killed, and the guy was shot in the leg.
Well, killing a soldier dog is the same as killing a soldier, isn't it?
It is. It's considered that. Yeah, when you kill a working dog, whether it's military or civilian, it's still considered killing a police officer. And then, here it is. Okay. Berdahl here tearfully apologized to the service members. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. There's things that you can be sorry about in this life, and you can have some type of, I don't know, some type of forgiveness. But when you do this to a brother, I mean, especially in combat, I mean, that this is one of those, I don't know, unwritten rules that you just don't do that to somebody you've served with. And this is, one of the things that I just absolutely despised about John Kerry was when he came back from Vietnam and he testified in front of Congress and told all of those lies about soldiers and sailors over there. You don't forgive something like that. You just cannot forgive something like that, because these are the guys, when you're in a situation like that, you trust these guys emphatically with your life. I mean, that's a trust, that's a bond that you just never break. And he wasn't back maybe a week, and he was doing that. I threw my medals over the White House fence. I hope they stuck to your.
He made the whole thing up, didn't he? He made all those stories up. It was
of course he did.
Not even true.
Yeah, this is. I mean, he wanted to be a politician. You could tell that right from the get-go. Number one, anybody that gets 3 Purple Hearts in what was an 8-month period, stay the hell away from that man. I mean, don't get near this guy.
Exactly.
What? I mean, that's
just saying
that's a
exactly.
But could I say something in his defense?
No.
Well,
no,
just
you can't.
One
All
little
right,
thing. When I was in the Gaza Strip, I went to a restaurant. It's called Matu, and it's the famous restaurant there. And I was having French fries, and these French fries were so boring, but there was some Heinz ketchup, and I tell you what, that ketchup really made those French fries taste better. I'm just saying.
Teresa, his wife. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Well, that's right. He married ketchup money, didn't he?
He married into money. That's why he's got all this money today.
What does she look like anyway?
Not a lot. And now 50 years later, a lot worse. Yeah, that's the rotten tomatoes, maybe. Stewed tomato. All right.
So he earned it. He earned those millions. Then he really did.
He earned every dollar. I don't know what she looked like when she was. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I don't care enough to go pull it up.
I don't think he cares either with her money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. XYZ calls him Lurch. Yeah, Lurch is exactly right. But anyway, all right. So back to what we were talking about. Bird Dog. Bird Dog betrayed his comrades in arms. So when you go to make an apology like this, it just rings really hollow. It really does. Nobody cares. You did what you did, and there's no apology. I mean, this guy that it says he walks with a terrible limp. He's going to walk with that limp for the rest of his life. Why? Because of you. Your sorry little ass decided to jump the wall one night because you wanted to join the enemy. The least you could have done was at least lay somebody a note saying, look, I don't agree with our mission, and I'm going over to the other side. Allah bless everybody. That would have been the courteous thing to do. But knowing the protocols, what was going to happen, and he still did it, that's unconscionable.
How did he get promoted? And didn't he skip over a few ranks? Don't you got to be?
He went. You go from E3 private first class to specialist. Now you have there are things to progressing in ranks that you're automatically promoted if you have a certain amount of time in service and a certain amount of time in grade. So as a private first class to specialist, if you have enough I don't know what the time is. I think it's 2 years total. You get promoted from E3 to E4. If you have 2 years total time in service, you become an E4 automatically, regardless of unless the commander can show just cause to show why you shouldn't be promoted. And then from E4 to E5, there's a process, and this is what I don't know because I retired after or before all this happened. But there's a process. There's a board that you have to go to. You have to appear before a promotion board. They ask you several questions to see if you have any lick of sense, and then you're put on a list based on all kinds of different variables, and then you're promoted based on whatever your MOS is, yada yada yada. Well, what it looks like is that a commander did not show cause for him to go from E4 to E5, and then they waived the promotion board, and so he automatically made E5. That's what it looks like, but I don't know for sure. I don't know all the particulars of it, but you do get automatic promotions in the Army unless there is cause shown why you should not be promoted. The officer corps is the same way. I mean, You know, you have to get a pretty bad officer evaluation in order to not make captain. I mean, making captain is about almost as automatic as it comes.
I'm with Donald Trump on this. Like McCain, the hero worship. You know, like Donald Trump. So what did he do? He got captured. He's a failure. You know, I'm sorry. If you get captured or you desert or whatever, you should not be get paid. I'm just saying. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay. Slam says that you have to go to an NCO school in order to eventually make sergeant. No, you can. These are called NCO leadership academies. The primary leadership development academy going from E4 to E5 can be the requirement to get promoted. That requirement to attend that academy can be waived pending you going to the next available academy or going to the next available class. So when we were deployed, there were all kinds of people that were promoted while we were in theater, contingent upon just as soon as we redeploy, they'll have the opportunity to go to the next, they call it NCOES, Non-Commissioned Officer Educational System. And there are field promotions. You're absolutely right, Slam. I agree. Now, okay, Gedalia just posted, I just read 6 died looking for bird doll. Now, I did not see this in the article, and I'm not saying that that's not true. Let's see here. That would, I mean, people are dying. Okay, here's CNN. Oh, that's an incredible website. Let's see what CNN says. Fast facts. He's from Idaho. Oh, that goes figures. What are you doing out in Idaho? He went in the Army in 2008. Deployed to Afghanistan in 2009. Okay. U.S. military soldiers being held.
It's true. It says 6 soldiers died searching for Bo Bergdahl in hostile Taliban territory when he went missing. That piece of garbage.
Wow. I didn't realize that many people died. Wow.
That's the Biden administration. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That was Obama. That was Obama's gift to humanity. Remember when he brought the father with his Salam Alaikum? The father said Salam Alaikum on the White House.
Didn't they pay money too for that? They also paid money to the Taliban, I thought, didn't they? It wasn't just enough. But
they paid money to the Muslim Brotherhood, didn't they? I mean, the Obama administration was just evil.
Well, you watch what happens with Afghanistan now. We're funding the Taliban now. I mean, not just with the military hardware or anything, but no, we're
just enough getting this guy back.
Yes, we know that you're back. Nope, you're not. You're still frozen. There you are.
Okay. Bergdahl deaths. Was anybody killed looking for Bergdahl? All right. So,
where did you read that at, Steve?
It was on Fox News. At least 6 soldiers died while searching for Bo Bergdahl from hostile. Hey, you guys! I cannot post on your comment section. I can only post in the private chat. Is there a way you can do something so that I can post in the regular comments?
There should be a little box there on the right where you can post, Steve. I don't know why. Oh, I know. No, you have to go over to YouTube to do it. You have to go to YouTube in order to post in the chat. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody listening to YouTube, don't forget to like and share.
Yeah. Morris Walker, Clayton Bowen, Kurt Curtis, Matthew Matinick, Darren Andrews, and Michael Murphy all died searching for Bo Bergdahl. What a piece of garbage. Yeah, and to think that we traded 5, and who just said that it was Obama doing this? Is exactly right. I mean, this is Obama's trying to empty Gitmo as fast as he possibly can. I mean, that was one of his promises. As a matter of fact, that was one of his first things that he did. He signed that order closing. I'm going to close Guantanamo Bay, and people are right. Good job, Barry. What are we going to do with him now? They had no plan. It was just campaign rhetoric, is all it was.
Because his worst thing was Egypt, because he was it in the Cairo speech. He found the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, and then promoted them. It was terrible. Like seeing that kind of happen was absolutely terrible. Like it was one of the many terrible things that Obama did.
Well, you know what? That trip to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt wasn't just to apologize for being American, but it was also to he was taking job applications because he had 5 Muslim Brotherhood employees in the White House. So he was also a job, one of those job fairs, where you look for a job in the White House.
Because someone says that he was probably Muslim Brotherhood himself, but no one really can kind of confirm or deny that. But no, this yeah.
He's just a lucky hater.
Yeah. Okay. Here's an infographic of what the Taliban has now. Because keep in mind, let me preface this.
The Humvees, are those armored Humvees or are they just regular Humvees?
They're up armor. Yep. They're up armor. Okay. How do I get this off my screen? Oh my gosh. All right. Let me put this back up here. All right. So now keep in mind, this was for the new Afghani army. The Afghani army had 300,000 soldiers in it. So of course you're going to have all kinds of crew-served weapons. You're going to have artillery pieces. You're going to have all kinds of personnel weapons, nods, radios, trucks, and things of this. But here's what kind of concerns me: is these APCs, these Bradley fighting vehicles. These things are lethal, folks. I mean, it's not only where you have the ability to insert troops in not only in direct fire, but also being subjected to indirect fire, but the ability to mount some pretty hellish, weapons on top. You're talking about a 50 cal. You can put a Mark 19, which is a fully automatic grenade launcher on top of one of these suckers. I mean, there's all kinds of, and plus missile systems.
Tow missiles.
Crazy. Yeah. And then you come down here, you look at the air assets that we gave them. Now you're thinking, okay, we gave them, the Mi-17. These are, this is Soviet era aircraft here. So this really, good luck getting spare parts for that. The Black Hawk, and everybody says, well, we gave them all these Black Hawks. That's true. But those things aren't going to be flying long, because anytime you have aviation assets, the amount of maintenance that you have to do to those things, what they're going to be doing with these things is they will be, what do you call that? Where you go pilfer the parts off of one and you do it to another. You guys know what's that called when you do that?
Scavenging, salvaging.
Yeah,
Well, either way, they're still going to be useful. I mean, they'll keep hitting, but if there's any major offensive, they'll definitely use them against anyone that can launch now a counterinsurgency to their counterinsurgency. You know what I mean? The real scary thing is we lost Steve again, or Eric.
There we go. All right, yeah. I don't know what's up with the StreamYard today. This hasn't happened in months.
But they can't, because it was funny online, because they can't even fly the Black Hawk helicopter. Did you see the thing online where they were trying to fly the Black Hawk helicopter?
They can learn, dude. They can learn how.
No. There was a thing that they didn't get off. They were just like flying around in circle or something like that.
Well, that's fine. That's what you first do when you're learning to fly, dude. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Do not do the Iranians. They got the Tomcats flying. Okay. All right. Now, yeah, it took them 20 years, but they eventually got the Tomcats flying. Okay. So yeah, you cannot sit there and say no, because you cannot say these are dumb people, because yes, some of them are, but they can learn. They can help. They can go get a flight simulator online and learn how to fly the damn thing. You know what I mean? Huh? What?
They could give them to the Russians too. So
exactly, that's another thing.
You also
scroll up.
These other air hats. I just want these other air assets here. These are turboprop. I mean, it's not jet aircraft. So again, these are slow movers.
But they're still ground attack. Dude. I mean, they could, you know what I mean? They're ground attack. So yeah.
I think the best that they could probably do for that would be reconnaissance. I might be wrong on that.
My worry is for Israel, because I mean that's probably where they'll go with these weapons, is trying to attack someone like Israel, because
I don't see them, to be honest with you, I don't see them getting now the guns, the small guns and stuff but the armored pieces, I don't see them getting that there. I could see them getting the guns there. What, Brad?
What's really concerning are these radios. Those are signal hoppers, I bet. Those 162 radios.
Well, the radios that the military use have scramble. They
yeah.
They're variables. They call them variables. They pop them in there, and they're changed on a daily basis. And these are, they do have the ability to have scrambling that. But
So
I mean, we know the frequencies. I mean, if they're using these radios in a direct firefight, we know what frequencies are on. All you have to do is just jam that freak. So it doesn't matter if they have the scrambling abilities or not. You just jam the freak, and they're not going to be able to talk.
I want to say something about what that guy. Someone said something about Israel.
Yeah.
When I was looking at all these weapons that we left behind, it reminded me of what's written in Ezekiel chapter 39, where Magog comes to attack Israel, and it says so many weapons are left behind that the Israelites for 7 years don't have to cut down trees to warm their houses because they burned the weapons. Now, of course, you can't burn steel weapons and stuff, but you can burn nuclear weapons and put them in your nuclear reactor and produce electricity to warm your houses. Now, I'm not saying we have any nuclear stuff there, but, I wouldn't be surprised if this stuff ends up on the border of Israel.
Yeah, I look at the Protestant believers post here, or aim at the frequency, or aim at where they're transmitting from. Yeah, that we could always do that.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry, but we were just referring, using that. And then Rob Lundberg, it's the first time I've seen Rob here. Thank you for coming, sir. What does he say? He said it's called scramble authentications when passwords change hour by hour. Yes, they do. They most certainly do.
Well, I'm talking. Well, I'm talking about they can communicate with each other, and we won't be able to eavesdrop on them. You know what I mean? That's kind of the security thing. That was my thing.
You're probably right on that. I don't know. I don't know if we have the ability, because I wasn't a signal guy. All I know is that how to use the stuff and how to jump up and down the freaks and when doing all those things. So
either way, well,
the night vision goggles. That's something that
scary.
Really, well, it is. Yes, this is true. Because that capability. Let me put this back up there. That capability, we got 16,000 sets of those things, and they're very durable. I mean, it isn't like they're gonna. All you have to do is just change the battery out on them things. So they do have a pretty long shelf life. What's scary with those things, though, is, and we had this discussion the other day, Rad, when we were talking about the IR stuff that soldiers have mounted on their M4s, the infrared stuff. That's what you get with night vision goggles. Is you can flip. You're always going to have the ability to see at night with those things, but there's a setting on there where you can flip to infrared, and unless you have infrared capabilities going with your night vision, somebody else has it, they will not be able to see. It's like it's not a tracer. It's your laser, like laser sights, where you have a laser on a gun and you can just put the dot on it. You can see that, but it's IR, so the naked eye can't see it on the IR capability. So now they have the ability to pick those up, which it definitely puts a damper on some of the things that we have there. What did he say? Let's hope what would you say, Ed? Let's hope they're fool enough to try and use those items. That's true. Let's see how well that works for you.
Well, no, they're not going to use it. No, I'm not saying they're going to use it against us or anything. No, they're going to use it against their own people. That's the problem. They're going to use all this stuff to maintain control of their own people. Okay? Those Black Hawks that they can use, they give them to fly. They can drop acid on them. They can drop just like Saddam did, after the first Gulf War. They can drop acid, barrel bombs, like Saddam did. Those sort of things. They can, just machine gun civilians down whole villages, if they mount the machine guns on the side door or whatever, just like, like you see in, Apocalypse Now, that sort of stuff. So no, this is
well, they definitely have they definitely have the machine guns to do that with.
Yeah. I just wish Americans had
64,000 of them.
I just wish Biden gave Americans the same right that he gave the Taliban as far as it is owning weapons, dude. That'd be great.
Sure.
He wants to take away our guns, but he gives them all to the Taliban.
Yeah.
You know, now this is
go ahead.
Well, no, I was like, I think it was my dad who said that, you know, when they had to pull back in Korea, they did not leave their cannons. They did not leave. They spiked them. They blew them up with grenades. You know, they did not leave anything. If the Jeep wouldn't run because of the cold or whatever, they threw a grenade in it. You know, I mean, they destroyed everything when they had to pull out a few times, because you don't leave that stuff behind.
The thing is, why not did they leave it behind? Were they wanting them to have it? Because the thing is, you don't leave it behind because the thing is, if you're putting out, you just take everything with you. You don't just leave advanced technological equipment behind. It's like,
well, they left it behind for the Afghan army. That's why, that was the purpose of leaving this equipment there. This is why when you look at these MRATs that they left back, let's see, mine-proof 155 MRATs. They wanted the Afghan army to be able to use this this equipment to fight the Taliban. Well, the Afghan army had no desire. There was no leadership there to hold them together to fight that. It's just when you go back, let's say you go back 10 years and you look at when we left Iraq. Well, when we left Iraq, you leave this huge power vacuum, and you have an Iraqi army there. But what did they do to the Iraqi army? Well, ISIS goes rolling up in there, breaks into the police stations, gets everybody's home, you know, where they live, and they start going one by one, and they go to the leadership one by one and start cutting their heads off. The next thing you know, everybody's taking off their uniforms and running for the hills. And this is exactly what happened to the Afghan army. There was 300,000 of them that they said, hey, we have a 300,000 man army, but nobody had the will to fight, and nobody had the will to lead.
Well, that's actually a lie. There weren't 300,000. A lot. They estimate there was probably only 150 at the most, because the rest were all inflated numbers. Okay, what these Taliban commanders, not Taliban, what these Afghani commanders would do, because they were local warlord chieftain kind of deals, what they would do is they would sign up their cousins, nephews, and brothers. Okay, and say, yeah, he's in my brigade, and he'd send them home and he'd collect their paychecks.
Right.
And you know,
it was like one
big
welfare state. Right, I agree.
There's a great thing. I highly recommend go to Vice News. I mean, those guys are hardcore journalists. Now, true, they are lefty, okay, but they do some really good reporting behind the scenes of this stuff. But go check out Vice News. They have a great documentary. Actually, there's a British one too. Great documentary. Is when we first did the drawdown in Afghanistan in 2010 or whatever. The main complaint was these dudes were all high. They were all smoking hashish and pot. They would get stoned. I mean, just stoned out of their gourd, and they would just go run off and shoot, you know, automatic weapons fire and use up all the ammunition just blindly. And the Taliban, you actually got these American commanders and British commanders saying, here's what they do. They go out and they fire off all their ammunition, and the Taliban just lays back and waits for them to use up all the ammunition, and then they come and counterattack. And we get our butts kicked every time. But anyway, so when we pulled out, okay, the first time, we actually took all our equipment with them as well. Okay, and we just left. We had men on the ground and stuff, just as observers to give advice and stuff like that. But they had no equipment. Not only that, but even the equipment that they did have, you know, their trucks and stuff like that, because these commanders were so corrupt, they were selling off all the gasoline. So none of the tanks on the base were filled. This one commander, there's this one guy. Oh my God, I wonder what happened to him. You can't find any mention of him. He's sitting there saying, look, I know that guy's a thief. I can't do anything to him. And this other guy, you know, he was raping a young boy. You know, he had several of these bocce boys. And they'd rape him, they'd kill him, and they told me that they were gonna remove him and punish him. And now he's back here 3 months later because he paid the bribes. He's like, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, no, it was a horrible thing. But anyway, so it went from, okay, so we left them the first time. This is why it failed. We didn't give them the equipment. So this time we gave them all the equipment, but we didn't change anything of their corruption. I mean, they all got their bocce boys. They're all living the good life, getting high, getting stoned, no discipline whatsoever. Half of them 90% of them couldn't read. As a matter of fact, one guy testifies, you know, when they went to their graduating college for their officers thing, they didn't know which way to hold the diploma because they couldn't read it. They were holding it upside down for pictures. They had to be told, no, turn it around. I mean, because they just paid bribes. It costs, I think he said it costs like $6,000, okay, to become a non-commissioned officer in Iraqi army. That's all your tribe had to pay. So the tribal elders or leaders, they pay for their one kid, whatever, the brightest or the dumbest amongst them. He goes off and gets this, and he's now the thief. The thief. What do the Russians call it? A thief in law. You know what I mean? He can go out and he can divert all the stuff and steal for them. No, this is horrible. And this is not. I don't blame Biden for any of that. Although he was in the Biden or the Obama administration. No, but this is under all of them. This is under Bush. This is under Obama. This is like 4 different generations.
Well, it's transcended the presidents.
Yeah.
When you say that, okay, we're finally going to pull out, and the soldiers that you're depending upon, just like you said, are nothing but on paper soldiers. There's nobody there, and people knew this. People, for years, people have known
exactly
what's going on over there. These guys, a lot of these guys, they show up. They didn't, forget being illiterate. They didn't even know how to tell time, for God's sake.
Well, that's racist if you show up on time. Just to let you know, the new army, it's racist, dude.
They probably don't have white privilege. Who knows? The fact is that a lot of these guys did not even know how to tell time. And this is, when you start training people from that level, ignorant or illiteracy, okay, that it's prevalent in the region. But when somebody doesn't even know how to tell time, how do you? Where does the training program for somebody like that to begin? So when they say that we're going to pull out at such and such a date, and then the other thing is what did the heck they do? They closed Bagram Air Base without telling anybody. Why in the world this is okay? Maybe we ought to let's talk about this on Tuesday, because Tuesday is the pullout date, and we'll do a show on how all this ends up.
I'm going to tell you how it's going to end up. Biden is going to come out and say, we did it. We got him out. And he's going to be praised for being bold decision, defied the odds. Even when everyone told me it couldn't be done, it was done. And his empathy and courage and just wisdom as a foreign expert. Actually, they're already saying that on CNN. No joke. He's a well-known empath.
I just pray to God to get out.
Psychopath.
I don't know how this is going to fall out. So.
Yeah.
All righty, folks. Again, this has been an easy day for me. Thanks, Rad. I appreciate.
No problem. I hope I wasn't too boring.
No. It's all kinds. I have that slideshow, by the way, and one thing that
there's more coming.
When I was teaching, this is one thing we always said. We're not plagiarizing. We're just borrowing it, modifying it for our own set of instructions. So I'm going to modify and
correct all my spelling typos.
I was going to get to that, but I wasn't going to mention it. All right, everybody. God bless you. We'll see you on Tuesday, 5:00 on the Crossing the Crescent. Also, Fox News. Go check out Al Fadi's interview today. It was absolutely fabulous. We'll see you Tuesday. God bless.
God bless.
God bless.